Hello, hello. I am coming back on. Last week, me and my friend Jess kind of jumped on here and we talked about how um, what's going on in our area immediately. And since then, there's been lots of changes, lots of people doing a lot of really, really awesome stuff. And one of those awesome people is Ashley, who I asked, literally saw her post on our Facebook, like our neighborhood Facebook page. And I asked her, hey, do you mind sharing your story with us real quick? Kind of share with us like how you're like helping out in our community, what you're doing, what you need, and then some crazy stories that have happened for her this past week. So I'm just going to bring her on real quick. She has to get boot scoop boogie moving to go do some cooking this morning. So I'm just going to let her kind of tell us what's going on. Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for
Hi.
squeezing me in this morning.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm, whatever I can do to help people know, like, kind of what's going on in the
Yeah.
area because it's hard to, like, actually find out what's real and what's not.
Yes, for sure. And that's kind of where this all came from is that I was seeing so many different things posted, and I was like, "Well, yes," and, like, in our community, I can only speak to what's happening, like, where we're at and what we're seeing. So, can you share with us, like, what you're doing for our community, which I think is so cool?
So, basically, what we're doing is we, in the initial stages, we had kind of been seeing where we were needed, like cleaning up trees, cutting and clearing trees, so that people could get in and out of their driveways.
Mhm.
Um, we were working at the TLC Center because my sister Bethany and her mom Angie run that, and
So, the TLC Center here has been, like, in our immediate community, I feel like it's been the biggest, uh presence or like push for like our people. Like it's like where
yes,
our people are going to donate, to volunteer, and to know where to go to help, right? Is that what
yes,
you would say? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Because it's where we all like I help. I haven't been able to be there as much lately, but usually when I'm going there and helping, what they do is they like are always they're constantly a presence for crisis pregnancy, like for mothers, for dads, for
Oh,
grandparents.
that's what they're actually like normally running?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
A lot There's a lot of people that don't know about it, even
Yeah.
though she's been doing it for I think 22, 23 years, something like that.
I didn't
Um,
know that. Yeah.
yeah, and it was basically started when Angie became a single mom because let's just say, she got divorced just like my mom got divorced from Bethany and my dad.
Yeah.
So when she became a single mom, she realized how lacking it was and how hard it was for a single mom to be able to get any help.
Cool.
Like
Yeah. Not cool,
so
but like that's cool that that's where that came from. I didn't know
yeah.
that. So,
Yeah, so normally there's like diapers, wipes, just like all these
oh,
things, formula, classes, clothes, food, and then during the summertime they feed kids. They have a summer food program. They like people are going out and like literally serving hot meals and then like a breakfast and a like dinner kind of thing that they can eat for breakfast, or like like canned like ravioli or peanut butter,
right.
whatever, so they can have a meal for dinner. So like during the summertime when there's no school. So
Right.
like that's she's already kind of geared up for that. And then when this all happened, she's like, okay, donations can come here and we can facilitate this.
That's awesome.
Um, so uh when we were kind of assessing the needs, then I was able to kind of like see, okay, like my husband and I are chefs. We both went to school for this at the Culinary Institute of America. I'm a pastry chef, he's culinary. We've done large volume of cooking because I used to run like like coffee shops, Michelin star restaurant. Like I ran a line. I was not the head chef though. I'm not gonna pretend I was. That was intense.
I've
Um,
watched The Bear. That's all I
Listen, that show literally gives me PTSD when I watch it for
I'm
the
like, that's
second
all I
time.
know about that.
It's so real. And like
Yeah.
honestly, when I watch it, I get PTSD, but I also like flashbacks, but I also get the adrenaline rush because you
Yeah.
do get adrenaline working in those kitchens.
Yeah.
It's like a rush like you wouldn't believe. But and then running a bakery for a high-end grocery store where I'm doing hundreds and hundreds of pounds of dough. So I was like, okay, we can do this. So we're like, okay, we see that there's need for food. And I talked to my church and our priest, and we had money set aside for this. Like after COVID, we had a bread baking thing called Feed the Flock. And so we had this money set aside, and a week before all this happened, we had like the parish council was like, okay, we want this money to still be used. It's been sitting here. The people that were running it moved away to South Carolina. Maybe we can send it to them, see if they need it. And then this happened. We're like, just kidding. Is there any way we can use that?
Yeah.
God literally made it so
Yeah.
that, because I mean, food is expensive, and I'm not just getting like crappy. I don't want them just to have pizza or whatever. So what we've been doing basically is just we asked our priest and everything, and they were like, yeah, we want to do this. So we are using a commercial kitchen to make sure the food's really clean. It's prepared in a way that it's going to be tasty, but like, safe to eat. Like it's not gonna have cat hair in it. Like,
Yeah.
there's just like a lot of moving parts especially when you're making large volumes of food, because
Yeah.
we're doing anywhere from 500 to 600 meals a day. Yeah. So,
So where's that going? Like, is that because I know like Meals on Wheels or whatever got canceled.
oh, did it?
Yeah, yeah. See, I don't even know. But there was one sweet lady that I just went to last week who she was like just eating PB&J for like all week here on the creek, like just eating PB&J because the Meals on Wheels thing in Irwin got canceled because
Oh.
of Irwin. So anyways, tell me like where's your food going? That sweet lady is taken care of, for the record. I've got her on like it's she's fine.
See,
And
and
I
that's
think they're
actually
starting.
honestly part of it is trying to find where the need is and
Yes.
like, assessing. So we're like constantly changing and shifting. But while we were making food, we're like, okay, we're gonna send it to people um up in Roan Mountain,
Yeah.
Shell Creek, Cove Creek. We had a lot of places, and my poor sister was trying to coordinate it all. And so what we did is we um took all the stuff and like tried to figure out how many we were needing about. And then we found out, oh, the National Guard, the armory right across the street, they were like, hey, is there any way we could get some water? Come to find out, they hadn't gotten fed for like 2 days.
The National
So the National Guard, like they couldn't get Tima was like very reticent to like approve anything, or if they did approve it, it wasn't enough. So like the first day we got them food, they had gotten 20 pizzas for like 70 guys. Like that wouldn't even feed a football team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, like Domino's or Pizza Hut pizza. It's not
Right.
like it's like gonna
And that
have
has to
very much
come all the way
nutrition.
from town, so it's probably all like
Oh, it's cold and gross. And then the next day, it's we were talking to them, because I just have been in contact, and like I just like one, I can just go over there and talk to them. They're
because they're like
really
right there. Right.
Yeah, and they're really sweet guys.
Of
Like they
course.
really
Yeah.
are, and they're out there busting their butts, help like doing things for us. They're running all these Blackhawks and everything.
Yeah.
So I went over there and talked to them, and or I'll even call them, and they're like, yeah, we finally got approved for Tima for tomorrow. They find out at 10:30 at night, and they're like, but it's in Morristown at Cracker Barrel, so they had to drive 2 hours, and this is when the road conditions were even
Yeah.
worse. So
Yeah.
they'd have to try and drive there and drive back. I was like, listen, I know like they still have to do it, because it's like if it's approved, they have to go get it. I was like, but I'm gonna get you food that's like hot, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
So then after that, like I basically, now it's pretty much like approved and they're getting food, but
Okay.
I've been supplementing, because like all they need coffee. Like these guys and gals need coffee. So a friend of mine from Copper Lantern, she basically kind of donated for them to use a coffee machine, like one of her like coffee machines that she uses for her trailer.
Nice.
And so and they gave them coffee grounds, because they have like some coffee that they had left over, because they can't do their coffee trailer. So we made them coffee. We showed them how to use it. And like her and her husband showed them like, okay, this is how you use this thing. And then they get no approval for like creamer or sugar or anything like that. So I've been like going and making sure they have cream. Like my husband and I just went and took them some creamer and sugar so
Yeah.
they can have something to put in their coffee. And I'm non-dairy, so I made sure they had almond milk. It seems like nothing's worse than you're like, oh, I
But
can't
that's
drink
a
it.
good point. Like I have seen like specifically in our area, I've seen a lot of things going out like like diabetics are having a really hard time right now and like people
Yes.
with these and like for example, up in Roan Mountain just I think 2 days ago, Jess was trying to help this woman who she's on cancer treatment. She has to have like premier protein
Yep.
shakes and like there's like anyways, it's just that like there's so many things you don't really think about until and people are doing what they can and making it work with what they have, but I just feel like we can do better and I'm hoping as like it keeps going that we're able to find these people that have these like different food needs that we're able to like help and I think you're doing an awesome job
Oh,
doing
thank you.
that. So that's awesome.
So yeah, then that's funny. Like, so that's one thing because like I'm allergic to peanut butter, so I've been making sure when we make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, they're actually sun butter and
Oh,
jelly
wow.
sandwiches
Yeah.
because then they don't have to worry about it all. There's no nuts or anything.
Yeah.
It's sunflowers seeds. So we make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but they're sunflower butter.
Yeah.
And then so the other places we're taking food is we have a couple people that were going up into Shell Creek, Cove Creek, places up Road Mountain, Pogie, and up Stony Creek, and just assessing where things are needed. And then we send them out. So we package things up. They have to be taped up really tight. You can put them on the Blackhawks, and they're going up to, up like yesterday. They went to Bob's Island. And that these are people who haven't had a hot meal in 2 weeks, a week, because they're eating, they're at least getting food now, but it's like a canned ravioli that they can't heat up. So
Right.
the
Right.
cold canned ravioli is not the best, but you'll eat it because you're hungry. So yesterday we sent them chicken and rice soup and all made from scratch, and then mac and cheese.
That's
So
awesome.
we want to make sure there's something that kids will be able to eat. And then
Yeah.
so as we're kind of assessing where people are eating things, we get people that request food, and we're gonna be like, yeah, for sure. Like we
Awesome.
feed this like little retirement home down in Elizabethton, like I think it's like 40 to 60 meals or whatever. But one of the ones that like actually like honestly upset me was a friend of mine was like, "Hey, there's a shelter asking for 30 meals," and I was like, "Cool, we'll get them biscuits and
Yeah.
gravy, because they aren't getting hot breakfast. So, and then we'll make them their breakfast because they were asking for the whole week for breakfast. That they don't have anybody doing breakfast. I was like, cool. So I show up with my, like the biscuits and gravy that we had made, and I find out it's a Red Cross shelter. And so I'm like, you know what? Obviously, I'm not gonna not bring the food for them,
Right.
but I had thought we had kicked them out of the county.
Yeah, we've heard things about Red Cross this whole time. I
Yes,
thought we didn't have any in our county either. So,
we had kicked them out. So this is what I found out from because I was like, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna question them. And now people might think that means that Ashley went in there like fussing at them and like crazy, like no, I went in there talking completely nice because you get more information if you are nicer. You attract more bees with honey than with vinegar. So I was like, I'll go in there. These people need food. They're in a shelter. They need hot meals. So sorry, I need a drink of water. Um, so I went in there and I asked the guy who's running it. He lives apparently up in Kingsport, but like he works for Red Cross, and he said that he had been basically pushed up the ranks very quickly. Like he had
yeah.
been a helper, 4 days ago, and now he's managing the whole shelter. And the church has nothing to. This is basically kind of what I got from the conversation. 101st Baptist um, is basically the reason why Red Cross is still in our county.
Mm,
They had been kicked out, but because 101st Baptist let them stay, they now still have a foothold in our county, even though they had been kicked out at the commissioner meeting.
mm,
So when I talked to him, he also said that the Red Cross will give them hot lunch, hot dinner, but for breakfast it's just granola bars and like Pop Tarts. Which one of the ladies sitting there, she's like, "I'm a diabetic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing a hot meal because I can't just have a granola bar." And there's kids. Kids aren't gonna eat like my kids might eat a
My
granola bar
kids
for
got
a snack,
I was gonna
but
say no.
yeah, like they might like a chocolate chip one. I might be able to talk them into it, but for a snack, not for breakfast. And then they were, like I was like, "Oh, is there anything else you guys are needing besides breakfast?" And then they started saying like, "Oh yeah, maybe we could get some like underwear and socks." And we have a lady here who is she's I think she's 16 weeks pregnant, and like we don't really have anything for her like pregnancy wise. So is there any pregnancy like things you can get for her, like prenatals, like all these things? And this is basically what I took away from the conversation, and this is kind of how I look at it. Red Cross should be coming in to support
Look,
organizations like the TLC, these
yeah,
churches, and what we're doing, and help ask us, "Hey, what do you guys need?" So
yeah,
we can help you because they get a ton of money.
right.
Not them coming in, setting up their own shop, and then relying on us who are already the ones that are actually in the hurt. Like we're hurting.
Yeah,
Like my husband and I, we've spent a lot of money that we don't have to like
right.
for gas and like chainsaw, like all these things, getting food, water, whatever we like. Because if somebody's desperate and needing something, you're going to give them whatever you can. And
100%.
so they instead they're actually pulling resources from us here in the community and creating a burden on us so that they can run their shelters and ask from us. Instead of, it should be the other way around, asking where can we support you and relieve the burden off of you, especially since they get so much money.
So that's
So
what my question is like, what was the reason that they got I know we gotta get you off of here because you gotta go cooking.
yeah.
But what was the reason that they got kicked out? Like, what is the big problem with Red Cross right now? Is it just that their resources aren't being put to the right place? I'm trying to understand where they're they're basically creating their own space instead of supplementing what we've already blood, sweat, and tears for the
Yeah.
past however many days. And it's just that our county decided, like, okay, no, we got it. Is that kind of
No, no.
okay?
So basically, what happened, this is from things that I've seen
Right,
myself personally,
right, right, right.
and things that I've heard and everything, like based on like my friend was there kind of thing.
Yes, yeah,
Um, Basically, it's two pronged. One, that they've come in, pushed out anybody that they kicked pastors out of the Elizabethton High School. When they came in, they literally kicked every single pastor out of there. And then they also have been like, we're not feeding any of these, volunteers or first responders. So the first responders that were here, like EMS workers, they weren't getting fed. They were sleeping in their cars and they weren't getting fed any food. So, there's lots of things like that happening. But
yeah,
then there's also them saying, "Oh, sorry, we aren't taking anything here. We're doing it our way.
yeah,
We don't need your donations, and we're only giving it to these like you have to follow these certain procedures."
yeah.
And so the problem becomes where it's like, listen, we are a community come together, and it all boils down to this, where like obviously we are the Bible Belt. We are very Christian based, and that like it doesn't mean that you could only be Christian, but if you're going to kick out our pastors and our churches and things like that, that's
That's
just not going to fly. It's not okay.
And that's where, for me personally, that's what I've seen the most. Like, even here on the creek, like, it was like 2 days, and we had, like, 3 churches that were, like, hot showers, hot meals. Like, it was, like, no time. The churches, like, they got their systems, they've got their people, and they're helping immediately, immediately.
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
you
So
can't
I
really push that out when we've been doing that. Yeah, I could see
yeah.
the frustration there for sure.
So like there's that aspect of it, them doing these kinds of things and not treating our first responders and our volunteers correctly, and not treating our churches and our people very well. And then the other aspect of it is that like they are, when they're coming in, they're also having these certain procedures that we have to follow. And it's like, this is life or death things,
Yeah,
like we don't have time for procedures and for you to have like a chain of command and for it to take days. We need this to happen now. Somebody needs a buddy heater, it's 35 degrees up in the
yeah,
mountain, 40 degrees. We
Yeah.
need a buddy heater now. We don't need to wait. And like in reality, this is how I feel. It's and you can kind of see this happening in different aspects, but it's for them to get the glory, for them to get like we're coming in and saving the day, and it's like, but you're not. You're actually causing more stress, more heartache, and it's becoming a whole procedure thing. When in reality, the churches, the people, even that like the people have each other's back. Like we
Oh,
are
100%.
incredibly close. We help each other. You know, there might be a bad egg here or there, but for the most part, like everybody's coming together, and we don't need them to come in and try and take all of the credit for the help that's happening, which is like it doesn't matter. What matters is helping people.
Right.
But like we need them to be helping us and relieving the burden by giving us the resources that they have instead of them trying to come in and set up their own thing and then push everybody out and make it almost impossible for us. And that's why a lot of us are worried about the Bristol Motor Speedway because
For sure. That's yeah.
you
And
can't just
Bristol is far away for everybody who
yeah.
doesn't know the area. Like Bristol, they're putting all donations at Bristol, and that is a long way away from the communities that are in desperate need. It's a
Yeah.
very long way.
Well, and then the other thing is if this is people, they're like, okay, fine, I need this. I'm gonna go there. They've gone there, and they're like, oh no, sorry, you have to submit at a distribution point, which they've all closed.
I
They've
didn't
taken
know that.
all the donations and closed all of these distribution points and sent it all to Bristol Motor Speedway. But you're supposed to go to a distribution point, ask for it, wait for it to get approved, and then they'll send it. So we don't have time for that.
Mm,
Two, all the distribution points have been closed. And then how do they assess who really needs it or not? I can tell you right now, Angie and Bethany at the TLC Center and volunteers, and like we know people, like some of them are still the clients that have been there a ton of times,
yeah,
but you know we know where people live. It's just it's our community. We know people, we know where people live, and it's like okay, so we know you really need this, or even if they don't, they just give it. They're like whatever, just take it. We would rather you have it if you need
yeah.
it than for you to have to wait for
Here's
approval.
I'm struggling really hard with the fact that, like, I feel like already, like, this area and, like, our people, like, nobody wants to ask for help, first of all. Most people here are givers, not like, most people that need stuff are volunteering. Do you get what I mean? Like, so
One
many volunteers that I've seen are like I've been working with them, and then they've been like, "Oh, yeah, like this and this," and I'm like, "Well, do you need something?" Well, like, it's just like it's not the first thought is not like, "I'm gonna go get what I need," and, like, making people have to it feels like beg for what they need is
and then have to
heartbreaking to
wait.
me.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then have to wait and, like, be like,
Yeah,
"Well, we need to assess if you really need it or not." Are you kidding me? These people
yeah,
already are proud and don't wanna ask for help. Like, the
yeah,
amount of times I've had to force
yeah,
people to take these meals because I also take a huge portion of these to Hunter Elementary because
yeah.
it's an unregistered, unlicensed shelter location. They've
Oh,
actually told come in and told them, "This is, like, you know, unlicensed I don't or unregistered, whatever, um, donation site. You're not supposed to be here." And basically the principal's like, well, you were never here, don't come back because we don't need you, because we don't. And so we like I will take, you know, like at least like 200, 300 meals there every day, and they're gone because
yeah.
we individually package them up so they're able to send them out to where people need them.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It's not just like a big pot, like, y'all got, like, the individual ones.
Yes,
That's a
we try to make sure everything, and I can't tell you how many times at the center we have people that are there. Oh, I don't have a refrigerator. It's okay. This refrigerator needs to go to somebody else. I'm like, no, your refrigerator is gone now. You need a refrigerator, or I tell them like I'm like, are you hungry? Do you want to eat? People that are coming in bringing these trucks, like we had a truck from Chattanooga come in with pallets and like an 18 wheeler full of stuff from Chattanooga and toys, you know, Premier Protein, like all this stuff that you don't even think of. Insulin. They brought insulin
oh, oh,
and like, you know, like all this stuff that people need desperately. Um, you know, we had a horse trailer come in from a small town outside of Knoxville. And like it's a community. People
yes.
that don't have a lot of money, they're just like they're going to the store, buying what they can, filling up the trailer, and then they send it. They sent gas cans filled with gas for us for our chainsaws, our ATVs, and our and our side by side, so that we can get around and take food up because that's what's happening to happen. A lot of these roads are washed out. The
Yeah.
only way we can get food to them is by the Blackhawk or by them going up in an AT. They'll take a U-Haul or a truck, get it as far as they can go, and then they start loading up the ATVs
Yep.
and going out.
Yep.
So,
Which
yeah,
has been incredible to watch, like, honestly, like, I don't know, we've been up like, those roads are insane, they are insane right now, but
I just
people
cried.
are making it freaking happen, dude, like, it is so incredible to see, and
It really is.
I know you need to run, so let's
Yeah.
wrap it up. Ashley, thank you so, so much for sharing with us what you're seeing for real, with your own eyeballs, and by the way,
Yeah.
I know
Own eyeballs.
Ashley's a real person that I know in my
Yeah.
community.
Yeah. I have my
For
little
real.
micro bakery, and people know me for my little farm
Yes, I
stand.
know
They're
her
like,
from the
"Warrior
farmer's
baker."
market. I know her
Yeah.
from the farmer's market, so
Yeah.
but I appreciate that, but I appreciate so much for what you have done, and I didn't even know, like, your mom and sister, and, I didn't have that connection yet,
Oh, it's her mom,
was it
but I
your
joke
mom?
that she's my
It's sorry,
stepmom.
your stepmom, your sister and stepmom? Is
No,
that who?
so
Sorry.
our I didn't even know about her honestly until I was like
Oh,
16.
oh,
So
yeah. Okay, well, this
but
even
like
is more
I tease her that she's my stepmom because like
okay.
basically she technically would have been because it was
Yeah,
after my mom and my biological father were divorced.
that's a
So
whole other story we could get into.
oh yeah, it's a whole that's actually what the TLC Center is named after is Tracy Lee Crouch. It's named after him.
That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I love that, and I love knowing a little bit more about the TLC Center because 'cause I'm not gonna lie, I've just seen what work they've been doing in our community, and I'm like, just whatever they need because, like, since day 1, been doing it, and I've been in there, and I've just seen good people, and
Yeah.
so just
Nice.
thank you
Yeah.
to we'll get through, we'll make it through.
We're gonna get through because we're strong and we stick
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
So we'll get through.
exactly.
Like me and my little tennis, my husband found this at Sam's Club. Isn't it cute?
I
Tennessee
love
sweater.
it. Oh,
Was
cute.
off.
Okay, thank
For
you,
him.
Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.